my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Paid my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change.
There you go. Good morning. Welcome to the South Texas TV studios, along with my friend and co-host and dress-alike buddy, Caleb Shaw.
Thanks for
I'm
having
your host,
me.
Brent Carter. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Man, I am overwhelmed. Look at you guys in this studio. You guys are moving on up. It looks really good in here, and I'm happy to be here this morning.
It's a little oasis. We're very, very thrilled. The folks at Thrive Fuel, the folks at South Texas TV helped us put all this together. We've been very, very fortunate. Look, we've already got listeners. This is great. It happens every day. It's like you come. It's like you plant the seeds and the flowers grow.
It's quite impressive.
We're
quite
very,
impressive.
very, very thrilled with our surroundings. Great equipment. That's the nice thing is it's all great equipment.
That's fancy. It sounds good too.
Right? How are you? How's your family?
Man, I am good. I am very blessed. I got it.
Slow down. It's an hour show. We got no. It's just we have nothing to talk about.
We really got to drag this out.
How are your family?
Give me a few minutes to stretch
Yeah,
and warm
get
up, and then I
stretched
can
out.
get into that. No, I'm all joking aside. I'm very blessed. Once again, I just getting to be a father is one of the greatest things ever. I have a lovely wife that got up, made my coffee this morning, helped me out, keeps me moving forward, and so. In this Biden economy, you take what you can get, and I'm very blessed to have my wife and my son and my friends, and life is good.
Good for you. Tell folks a little bit because, okay, I really wanted Caleb to come on because at some point during the show this morning, I'm just going to say taxes, and then I'm just going to take off my headphones and leave because he can go for days. It's like giving Jimmy Swaggart talk about fidelity. Jimmy Hall, you got to believe. But
Brent, I've been working on this.
I want
hard.
you. It's like anger management class.
Notice you've seen no rants out of me recently or anything. I've been trying to fly under the radar, stay quiet.
Take 45 seconds and tell people about Shaw Realty and your project for veterans, and then also take a second and bring folks up to speed about your hobby side, your other profession, and about your projects that involve South Texas TV and your TV, show.
All that stuff.
Do.
Roger that. Yes, sir.
Bring us
Well,
up.
Shaw Realty, again, very blessed there. I've got a bunch of great agents that work up there, really hardworking agents. And you really kind of need that in this economy right now because this Biden economy isn't much to play with. There's not a lot of breaks out there for home buyers and sellers. And so I'm blessed to have the agents that I do that work as hard as they do to keep us moving forward. And yes, we do have the Homes for Heroes program that's for military, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare personnel, and teachers. Those are the heroes that are among us that serve this community. So we want to say thank you. So we do have that Homes for Heroes program that helps them save when they're buying and or selling a property. It's our honor to be able to give back and to say thank you to the heroes in this community. And then you jump over to the South Texas TV, Thrive Fuel, Meet Victoria side. Things are really good over there. We're over 100 episodes deep into our event show. Meet Victoria, we're on our mid-season break right now, getting ready to come back, finish the season strong. Victoria's just been good to us. It takes care of us. The more you look in this community to try to find things going on, the more you find them, and the more people you meet, and the cool stories that you get to tell and hear. And so I feel very blessed because it opens doors like this where now I'm getting in to stand in here in this awesome, cool studio and share this with you and to see you all's growth because I didn't even know where to start today. Normally I got my routine when I come in here, and it is hot. I will give that this almost deserves to go on camera here.
Bill Posey just walked over and handed us this. If you don't think that we're cheating death to share the morning with you, it's honestly.
That's dedication, folks.
It's
I will give you
98
that.
degrees in this studio.
7:04 a.m.
At 7:04 a.m. I don't know. Bill Winlet and I have been playing phone tag, and I know that Bill's got some updates, and I know he is working on this situation, but I just can't figure out. Yes, sir.
Mr. Posey's still training.
The
Thankfully
Navy
prepared him for this.
SEAL is irritated. Yes.
I don't. It's warm.
We're talking about getting Armor Air to come in and just cut us out a window unit, and just just hang it on the side of the building.
Good to see you, Mr.
Good
Posey.
to see you.
Speaking
Bill,
of heroes,
he's awesome.
you know,
man.
yeah,
Awesome.
that man's a hero. That man's
No doubt.
a hero.
Sometimes they are. They're just among us, and you have to. When you have the chance to acknowledge it, you like to do it.
You know, that's something we live amongst giants, you know, and we have some real heroes, and that man is an example of one. And
No
again,
doubt.
I'll say it, if you haven't heard his Jocko podcast, you know, Google Jocko and Bill Posey, and he did a whole 2.5, 3 hour episode that I listened to every second of multiple times. And
Yeah, he's a natural too.
yeah,
he's great on the air.
He carried that whole show, and Jocko's pretty dang good. So it was an awesome thing to see. It was an awesome thing to see. But I was saying in the studio, man, normally I come in, I got little duties I got to do to get
Right,
the show
put up the
help, and-
banner, what do you
yeah, my
say? You
little
push a
thing,
button.
keep Caleb busy, you know. And
Sure.
But man, I walked in here and there was hundreds of buttons and TVs and.
Oh, I
and
forgot
looks good,
your
man.
colors and coloring book.
You know, I'm learning to keep it between the lines.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
working on it, man. I'm getting there a little bit. That's hence, you know, you haven't seen me out arguing
You-
with politicians or
You
any
need
of
to
that
come
stuff.
by and look at my yard because I do practice what I preach when it comes to my landscaping. The folks at AT Deerland Feed have everything you need. They have a proprietary 21-7-14 blend that I call the Victoria blend. It's a fertilizer you can put down. The next time to put it down, July 4th. Put it down July 4th. I will, and my yard thrives. My neighbors used to ask, man, what are you doing? I mean, we're all watering on the same schedule. We're all doing this. We all mow. Why is your yard so green? No brown spots, no weeds. I go, here it is. I started showing them. Some of them, you get a bag, and I don't like to keep fertilizer for very long. The ignorance, I don't know why. I just don't. So sometimes I'll just tell Caden, my oldest, 15-year-old, he'll just go fertilize the neighbor's yard and the one next to that. And then we have to let him know because we don't want to double dose it. But AT Deerland Feed has everything you need, and they also bring the weather. The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. 79 degrees in Victoria, just like yesterday. Not a cloud in the sky, heading to a high of 100 today. Yesterday was 101, they said. But it's every bit of that, and it's all across the South, and it lends to the argument that I don't buy into about climate change. I mean, I do think the climate is changing, but I think the climate changes on its own.
Yes, sir.
And do we affect it? Maybe, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I think it's so arrogant of Americans. It'd be one thing if we said, we're going to be one little beacon of light. We're going to do everything we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell you and I have both told people, think globally, act locally.
Correct.
So in a lot of ways, that's what the U.S. could say they're doing. We're going to think about the way the world should operate, but we're going to operate our little section of the world this way. But they don't. America is arrogant enough to believe that if we allow China to rape and pillage Africa, to strip mine and gut the land for lithium, to make cheap batteries, to put into overpriced golf carts, and we drive them here because, by golly, we're going green, that we have a net positive effect on the world, and we don't. You've got to store the lithium batteries. You still have to use tons and tons of gallons and gallons of petrochemicals to make the vehicles. It's a false narrative. It's a lie that's perpetuated on Americans that we willingly gobble up because we just care so much.
Turns out it's about money and control
It's
instead
all about
of
money and
anything
control.
else. Shocker.
And I know that you stand probably one step closer to anarchy than I do, and that I don't believe or trust our government 99% of the time. To me, they're lying until they prove otherwise. And I find myself wondering how much of this electric vehicle garbage isn't about limiting the ability of Americans to move around the country. Keep you segregated. Keep the blues together. Keep the reds together. Segregate everybody off. It's a new kind of discrimination, and it's against the right.
And I would argue control too, because if they can get everything all electric and then they control the electricity and all of that, then you're once again it's stuck with them. You know,
Lots of talk about the grid. Don't worry though, the government is here to help.
Yeah, that's what scares me. And you know, my faith has seemed to since we've last met is probably even worse than most of the things with involving government, because it never seems to be the people first. And it's like this whole deal right now in real estate, and real estate is always ups and downs. That's normal. Sometimes you'll have highs, sometimes you'll have lows. But what's not normal now is I see no exit ramp for buyers or sellers. We have buyers that can't buy and we have sellers that can't sell. And that's the frustrating part. If I ran my company into the ground, okay, that's one thing. I made poor decisions. I caused this. Okay, that's fine. But what's frustrating is we have clients for days. We have people that want to buy homes. We have people that want to sell homes, and they can't because of governmental policy.
Right.
And and then it's just an onslaught. It's high taxes, it's high interest rates, it's overinflated property values, it's overinflated property taxes. It's all these things, and the buyers don't have, they can survive one or the other, sometimes whatever, but all four of them coming down at once with no signs of an exit ramp, no signs of getting better, you're pricing out what's left of the middle class, and you're taking their dreams of home ownership from them at the promise of, government help, and it I think the exact opposite is happening, and you're taking it away. And what's scary is, for the first time in my career, is I see no off ramp. I don't know what decision they're going to make, because about the only thing that I could see that could help everybody right now locally would be for our local taxing entities to roll back the tax rate. To me right now, this is a marquee time for some of our quote unquote fiscally conservative politicians that ran as such. This is their moment to shine, to me. They should be out in front leading the charge right now of the taxing entities of, hey, we need to roll back this tax rate to offset these huge increases on the taxpayer. The one thing that I could see that would give immediate power back to buyers and sellers in this market would be the local taxing entities rolling back that tax rate. And I'm not talking about the 0.00001 tax rate reduction that means nothing. I mean a real effective tax rate rollback to where they take in no new revenue over what they did last year or even the year before, which was still huge numbers, by the way, and sadly about the only thing I see growing is the upper class and government, and middle class is, we see broken hearts every day of these heroes with good jobs, good credit, good income, and they can't afford a home here in Victoria. And that's only getting worse, and I don't see where the relief is coming. And the only relief I could see is that these local politicians led the charge and said, hey, we're going to find you guys some way out of this. We're going to lower this burden on our community. And as much as I love them, I don't see that coming. And I don't see anybody jumping in line to try to lower this tax rate.
Or if the state, via Governor Abbott or Glenn Hager, somebody actually came back in and said, hey, we've got this $30 billion surplus. Let's give some of this back to the people. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, there's 30 million people in the state of Texas, legally, the ones that we know of. There's actually probably about 50 million people here because of all the illegals. But that's $1,000 a person. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you got a family of five, that's $5,000 that the state could give you back just based on the surplus. That would, for a lot of folks, would pay the taxes on their home. But you find that, the Fed this last week said, get ready because it's going to take another rate hike because the Fed manages inflation. That's what they want to do. They want to manage inflation. There's two ways to manage inflation, right? You can suppress demand or you can increase supply. I mean, if things are abundant, you don't have inflation because
when you have a
people
workforce,
aren't gobbling it up.
30% of the workforce, adult men, adult women that are capable of working,
that
aren't
don't
working.
work.
You're not going to get those supplies back, especially when they're still consuming as they normally would, but they're not out helping to produce and increase that supply.
But the old joke in real estate used to be, well, why is my property selling? Well, the obvious answer, it's priced too high. Mm-hmm. But if you bought a house 2 years ago when interest rates were 2%, but you paid you didn't care that you paid $200 a foot for a 2,000 square foot house, and now you're in $400,000 in a 3.2. And by the way, now you owe $399.5 because all you've been paying is interest. Mm-hmm. Now interest rates are 7%, and the guy that was going to buy that house, you're in that house for $1,500 a month, all in, all done. That guy, he can't buy it because now he's all in, all done for $2,200 a month because of the interest rates. and you can't afford to sell it
Yep.
because you didn't have much equity in it. You put 20 grand down, and you're going to use that on realtor fees. I
Yep.
mean, no offense.
Yep. No.
That's what
It
happens.
is what it
Closing
is.
costs,
Yep.
appraisals, inspections. So there are people in our community who can't afford to sell. Now, the wealthier folks, they're the ones that can say, well, because we talk about percentages, but we pay our bills with dollars. If you're in a house for $500,000 and you've got, $150,000 worth of equity, well, it's going to cost you 30, 40 grand to sell it. You're going to pick up 100 grand. You can go put it down on something, assuming somebody wants to buy that house at 7% interest. But the problem, and Dawn and I have looked at it, we're like right on that spot. We don't necessarily need that big box we're in, but I could literally sell my house for what I think it's worth, take all of the equity, and move to a house that's 2/3 as big in the same neighborhood, and
pay
I'd
more.
have the same payment.
Or more.
Or more.
Or more.
It makes no sense. So you're right. People are locked into their properties with seemingly no way out. Now, I'll honestly, I think that this leads to community depression. I think it leads to, I
Leads
think
to
it
more
leads,
government
I think
housing.
It leads to suicide.
And we have
do.
to step in and save the people. So we're going to give you affordable housing.
Yep.
And you'll get on the government. Well, I think we should find ways to empower home ownership and not government housing. And
Absolutely.
once the decision has been made that we're going to go in the direction of trying to provide government housing instead of lowering the cost or making it a truly, they use the moniker affordable housing, but what they mean is government housing. Affordable housing to me would be lowering their costs so we can own homes.
But if you look at it, and in today's market, if you look at a 1,500 square foot, small folks, I mean, some of you may live in a house that size, but you live in a small house, 1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. You got a decent living area, little breakfast area, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. You just can't in this market build that house for less than, there's no way to build it for less than $100 a foot. You're talking about $150,000 starter home. And then you start saying, well, if I've got 10 acres and I can build 25 houses on it, why wouldn't I build 20 houses at $200 a foot and build 3,000 square foot houses? If I'm the builder, does the builder need to become a charity? I don't know. I can only build so many houses a year. That's something you hear all the time in Victoria. And Ash is a big proponent. We need starter homes. We need affordable housing. A kid gets out of college here. He's got a good job. He wants to stay in Victoria, but he can't because he can't afford to live here.
Well, and that's, and my numbers might be slightly dated here, but, Victoria, roughly with our salaries and our incomes in this town, we can roughly support a median housing price of about $165. If there was an ideal number that I think that the average middle-class home could be priced at, the 160s, 170s would be ideal for what our salaries support in this town.
But those homes used to be in Castle Hills West, and now
Correct.
they're $389,000 for a house that was built in the 70s,
Exactly.
and wasn't that great when it was built?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And now you can't afford anything. And that's what's just terrifying is where do we, entry level housing is gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone. And when's it coming back? I don't see how we've aligned anything, because right now I think the last time I checked it several weeks ago, we were looking at around a $295 median price of a house in a community that can support about $165, $170. You can't have all of our homes over $100,000 overpriced and expect any type of stability. It's just not coming.
And Victoria is a plant town, right? You've got Invista and Formosa, and I grew up with all the plant workers. We all lived in the same neighborhoods. Those guys did not get the exponential salary increase that takes them from comfortably living stretching a little bit to live in a $200,000 home to where now that same house is $400,000.
And it's creeping up. It's kind of like that analogy of putting the frog in the water and slowly turning it up, because people haven't really changed their way of living just yet because it hasn't fully smacked them in the face. They're seeing the cost of other people. They're seeing their taxes go up. They're seeing their utility costs go up. But they haven't felt the full brunt of it in full force just yet, where they're like, holy crap, like I can't pay my electric bill this month. I don't know what to do. And like I said, what worries me for people is they're getting hammered in all directions. They go to the grocery store, they get hammered. They open their electric bill, they get hammered. They open their CAT appraisal, they get hammered. And every direction they turn is either a taxing entity or a politician or somebody with their hand out and saying, hey, just a little bit more. Just give up this and
Right.
you'll have that. Just
I am guilty of that at times, and I'm a proponent of those things.
But I understand that people want to improve, and I truly get both sides of it. But what I start seeing is you basically kind of see the difference in the classes, because you see the people that can afford to take on that extra stuff, and then you see the people that when you add that to everything else that's improved in their life, that's what pushes them over. And it may be $6 a month to somebody or something, but that may be the last $6 that they had, or they maybe had
That's right.
4 and now they're getting hit with 6. And when you get into these, it doesn't affect the middle, or it doesn't affect the higher end of the spectrum like it does the middle and the low. And in this inflation, really all they're doing is they just keep raising the cost until the people in the low end and the middle can't afford it anymore. And the people at the high end just wait, and then they come in and they're willing to overpay a little bit for what we can't afford, and then they turn around and they rent it right back to us.
Absolutely.
And we own nothing, and we'll be happy. And I just don't buy that. And
I've got a thought about groceries and incremental increases in just a minute. Let me take a quick break, folks. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. Allen's there for you 24/7, 365. He's got depots in Gonzales, Victoria, Refugio. They're all around. Allen's is always available. Call Allen's Wrecker Service. The VCS companies for all your communication needs, whether you need the new iPhone 15 coming out in July from the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, reach out to the VCS companies. If it talks, communicates, records, monitors, secures, videos, call the VCS companies. Chesnick Furniture for over 100 years. Most recently, in their new location for 76 years, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Reach out to Bobby Leon and his family. They took care of your parents' parents, and your great-grandparents. Get down there and see Bobby Leon and his family. Veracruz, just the best Mexican food in town. Get by Veracruz today on a pre-called Tuesday. Full menu, everything's there. Go by and see Veracruz. And then bingo, Thursday night, Palace Bingo. By the way, you can bring the baby. Let the kid run around.
Good. He's got better luck than I do. We
He just
need
can't
him.
collect. You have to collect.
Fair
Palace
enough.
Bingo, where friends meet friends. This Thursday night, Wade and Carter Bingo. Ash flying in tomorrow. Ash will be there Thursday night for Palace Bingo. So, you were talking about groceries. And Dawn and I shop together. Dawn and I go to H-E-B together because the kids don't like to go. They'd rather stay home and PS5. So it gives us a chance to kind of decompress, visit. As you know from doing it, it's a half hour to go in and get a loaf of bread because, hey, Caleb, hey, somebody that bought
I
a
send my
house.
wife. Or she volunteers. I don't send her. She'd punch me if I tried to tell her what to do.
Now I get it, and I don't always know how to answer it. I'm just faithful. I do the same thing every time. People will say to me, hey, are you Carter? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then most of the time, yeah, I like the show, Because most people don't go, hey, are you Carter? Your show sucks, man.
They just wait till you turn the corner.
Right,
That
that
dude
got
sucks.
blows,
Yeah.
But they're very, very nice, and I love it. The only wish that I had, so you guys have to endure my mug every day, is I wish that you would come up to me at H-E-B and go, hey, Carter, Caleb Shaw. And I go, yeah, Caleb, man, of course I know you. Good to see you, brother. But instead, they just look at you. I'll go. Hey, thanks for listening. This is my wife, Dawn. Oh yeah, I know T-Lat. What's your name, bro?
Yeah, that.
Unbelievable.
My favorite is when we're walking somewhere and somebody's looking at me and they go, "Hey, are you that Caleb Shaw guy?" And I go, "Yes, sir." And they go, "You have that show Explore Victoria?" And I'm like, "No, I'm me, Victoria. Explore Victoria's the knockoff. I'm the original." And that's the funniest one I get is everybody they get the two shows.
Who does that
crossed
show?
over.
Cody Sugar?
No, okay. I miss old Cody. Cody,
I haven't seen Cody in a while.
Cody could have his own show
Oh,
very
man, he
easily,
is
man.
hilarious.
That dude he can do just about whatever he wanted to do.
He
Cody's
is
a
hilarious.
man of a lot
and
of
he's
talent.
only half the man he used to be.
Yeah,
Have you
I've
seen
heard
it?
that. I haven't seen
Oh,
him
my
yet, but
goodness.
I'm hearing about it, and I'm very proud of him because any type of getting your life back on track as far as fitness and all that,
He's
like,
very fit.
and it's hard. And the older you get, like, I don't know why I chose jujitsu. Like, that just somebody
You're
just needs to-
naturally combative.
Yeah, maybe, but as I get older, I'm getting softer, and I go with these guys up there that are way better than me, way stronger than me, way faster than me, way younger than me. Some of them, even the older ones, beat me up. But I don't know why I picked jujitsu. Like why of all the things to pick, and especially getting older. But that was a long way of looping around the fitness.
I just
thing.
picked shooting.
Shooting's not a bad one because if you can't beat them up, you can at least shoot them
Shooting beats jiu-jitsu.
all day, man, all day, and so yeah.
Let me give you this heads up, and we'll talk about HEB. Marvin Mickish, Michelle Wilson-Hawkins, Matt Boucher. Good morning, Matt. Junior Samples, Patricia Nagel. We'll talk about the Astros in a second. Astros traveled yesterday. Our Astros are in St. Louis tonight. And Patricia came in, and a quick aside while we're doing this. Patricia came in yesterday, talked about First State Bank of Louise. Be aware, make your clients aware. Some banks want, say you're buying a lot. They want, say 25 or 30% down, and then they want you to amortize it over 10 years. FSB Louise will take 15% down and amortize it over 30 years.
Okay.
So you can make an investment in property that's nominal on the fee side or on the payment side.
The important side.
And yes, and as you're gaining equity while you're waiting to build. And a lot of people are waiting for a more favorable time. We've seen an easing in lumber prices. We've seen an easing in some other things. It will cycle. But it seems to cycle on an upward trend, right? It'll go up, and it'll come down, but it goes up.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever come back down to where it was.
Like taxes.
Or $1 gasoline. It ain't going to happen. I told somebody the other day, would you take $2.50 a gallon diesel for life? Yeah, because it ain't ever going back to $1.
No, you're right. Lock it in low.
First State Bank of Louise, the friendliest bank anywhere, corner of Stockbauer in Salem. Go by and see Lolly. She's now the branch manager. Lolly shows you what the bank's all about. Lolly was the lead customer service rep, and now she runs the bank. That's how that works. There's our buddy, Janie Alvarez, Don Posey, good morning, Judge, Scott Snow, Lisa Poole, Jordan Glass, Daniel Wade White, not a serial killer.
Good.
Most
3 names.
They have 3 names. Rena Shear, good morning, Rena. Dottie Bitterly, Karen Murray, Jordan Glass, Keith Williams. Good morning, Keith. Lisa Poole, again, she's there twice. David Glass, Roy Gutierrez, Diane Tippett. There's Torrin Bale, says hi to you too, Caleb.
Good morning, Torrin.
What did Junior say? Junior says, I lost him here. Hang on, they jump on me, man. Look, it just goes so quick.
A lot of comments.
Oh, man, yeah, but some of it looks like it might actually be interesting. Anyway, Joe Cheney's in. Good morning. That's right. Joe says he's owner financing his deal. There's James Kurth. What can you do for $100 a foot these days? A chicken coop? No, you're exactly right. There you go. Torrin Bale says if you buy a home today for $150,000, you got to put $100,000 in it just to make it livable. Not to mention.
And what's even funny, I forgot to mention, is that now on certain loan types, if you have good credit, they charge you a fee for having good credit, and then they turn around
they're
and they
offsetting it to help somebody else.
Yeah,
that's especially happening in California. Adam Sugar says, "Whoa, matching schmediums." Hey, for you,
Yeah,
for
dang,
you,
man,
Adam.
look at that.
Oh, it's the gun.
That thing pops up now.
Oh, yeah.
Looks good, man.
60 years
Now,
old. It's
getting
an
that work in.
implant.
It's funny how showing up consistently and having
Right.
somebody like get it right or produce stuff like that.
It's
But
an
you still had to put in the work. So good job.
Implant. I went and got it's someday it'll all fall and sag like
I've got an implant schedule too. I'm not far behind you. You know, I was laughing about that when we were out in the parking lot. What's happened since we've gotten old? It feels our older. Somebody leave us something.
Brian Smalls, my buddy B. Smalls in the Dallas. He goes, maybe it's my screen, but does Carter have less gray hair than last week?
Man.
No, it's look, you see it. There's a lot of gray. Come on, now they're talking about Grecian formula. They're doing it all on here. It's a very short attention span, very immature. I allow people doctors and other people to just completely relax their brains and they don't have to really focus on life for a minute. But I wanted to tell you, if somebody tries to say, and it would have to be some leftist with their head in the ground, but groceries are, honestly, my basket is 50% higher than it was 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to H-E-B, so I used to walk over and chicken breast packaged over there. They're always been packaged, by the pound. So I just decided how much do I need, the $8 package or the $10 package? Do I need that extra breast or whatever? Now, same chicken, same packaging. You're looking, do you buy the $12 or the $15 pack? Straight up truth. Mm-hmm. The same 4 pounds of chicken, the same Hill Country brand. It used to be 8. If we were having people over, 11. Now it's 12 to 16.
Yep.
And it just is. It is what it is. Everything is more expensive at H-E-B, and that's not H-E-B's fault necessarily. I'm saying it's
no. Well, to your point, we've really tried to, and my wife is leading the charge on this, to take control of what we are putting into our bodies food wise. And so she has started buying a lot of our stuff from the farmers market, directly from the farmers, instead of going to H-E-B and stuff like that. So 2 things. One, huge quality difference, and especially in something like chicken. It's I didn't know chicken could taste better, but you get it from these guys at the farmers market or at chopping block, and it tastes completely different than it does from H-E-B. It's
processed versus not processed.
It's amazing, but you pay more money for it. But when you get to talking to these farmers, you hear why. Because every single, just like we're talking about in our day-to-day, every single expense in their world has gone up too. And they either eat that charge and don't make any money,
and they can't. They got to pass it along,
or it increases and passes along to the customer. And so, that's another area where, as we're seeing the economy shrink and stuff, and we're trying to take our health on directly, our food costs are just going up even more than usual, because if you try to eat clean, you pay more.
There's no doubt about it. And so what happened was I said, do I need that extra breast? That led to a whole new assembly.
I almost jumped on that, and I decided not to, but I figured the audience.
You were going to jump on the extra breast?
I'll leave that one alone. Yeah.
Jump on that extra breast?
I think I saw my mom log on here.
Oh, so yeah. Jonathan Williams says whiskey's more expensive, too.
Yeah, Sharon Burns. Hello, Mother.
Hello, Mother.
That's my mom.
How are you, ma'am?
She's a good mom.
I like Farmers Market for the win. Yes, you can go get really, really great unprocessed foods at the Farmers Market. Typically, it's at the Patty Dodson Health Center over there out on the parking lot. I don't know what days.
I think they do it Saturday and Wednesdays, I think.
You go.
I think it's Saturday morning and Wednesdays.
Fresh produce. Callie Farm says, Henneke Farms told me that a box of jars that they use for canning has gone up $4 a box.
Yeah.
So let me tell you the other side of that. It used to be, and everybody's got their own standard. If you stop and think about it, and you do as well, I'd love to hear what yours is. If Dawn and I are going somewhere and we're thinking about trying to feed the kids, which, by the way, they're not kids anymore. Caden eats like a man. Like, it's if we go to Whataburger, he's getting the double. He's getting the number 2 with the large fry, and then he needs a large drink. Yep. And he's a growing kid. And thank goodness, when I was a kid, my dad said, you just get whatever you want. You need to eat. I was skinny, but I was growing all the time. So he was like, just eat. But that's kind of our standard. Chick-fil-A has kind of evolved into that standard, because you can get really good food at a relatively reasonable amount at Chick-fil-A. I'll get like a Southwest salad with some chicken nuggets. I'll get a little extra thing of nuggets, and it's like $11 or $12. The problem is, I just said it. It's $11 or $12. It used to be, my standard used to be Whataburger. Right. And in my mind, I could feed you for $5, $6, $7 a person at Whataburger. I could certainly go into Whataburger, let the kids order whatever they wanted. We could all have something, and we're out of there for under $40 for 4 of us. So I always thought $10 a person is kind of the standard. The other day on the way home from New Braunfels, Dawn really likes a place called Mod Pizza.
Okay.
And Mod Pizza It would be a fantastic franchise here in Victoria. It would be. Take the concept of a Subway, but now we're making pizzas.
Okay.
So when you walk in, $10.95 a pizza. You get an 11-inch. Dawn and I could split it if we were smarter, but she likes cauliflower crust. I don't necessarily.
You want a real pizza?
We kind of go opposite directions.
Fair enough.
But you start out, yes, I'd like some red sauce. Yes, minced garlic, sure. Onions, peppers, jalapenos, sausage, spicy, sausage nod, hamburger, pepperoni, ham, bacon. They've got it all. Corn, believe it or not, I put a little corn on my pizza. Jalapenos, serranos, and it's just a big what do you want deal. By the time Rylan had a salad, he likes salad. Rylan had a salad. The three of us had a pizza, 4 drinks, $65.
Oof.
And you're like, man, if you do that 3 nights a week, that's $200 a week. That's it. So call it $1,000 a month you've got to make just to eat fast food.
Mm-hmm.
And you get nothing back from that. I mean, in fact, you're processing that and passing it through.
And even the healthy alternatives, when you really start looking, man, they're just not so healthy. And it's just, and you're paying a lot for. Oh, you're just paying a lot.
Brian Small says nothing says pizza like corn. Well, that way you can remember it and enjoy it the next
I'm
day.
afraid if my dad could go through a place like that his pizza would be about 6 foot tall.
And
and
that's the way to do it. It's just load them up. See, Donnie
Luckily, I'm
says
just like a
cauliflower crust. She likes that.
pepperoni guy, and that's about
I
it.
like pepperoni.
That's about as crazy as I get on a pizza is a little
Yep.
bit of pepperoni.
Yep,
Not very exciting.
But Jonathan Williams also pointing out. I think Jonathan, he doesn't have a drinking problem. He's just very in tune. The 6-pack went from $6.99 to $10.99. The thing with alcohol that blows my mind is Torrin Bales adds Double Dave's has a great cauliflower crust. If you walk into a grocery store, and you're not a big drinker, and I know that, but you walk into a grocery store and you want to buy a 12-pack of Michelob Ultra, and it's, pick a number, $12.99, $15.99, $14.99, whatever that is. And you're like, whoo, man, beer's gotten expensive. It's a little over $1 a piece. And those same people will walk into Brown Bag, 5D, tacos and tequila, and order the same beer and pay $5 a beer for them and not even flinch.
Yep.
And when you think about 400% gross profit, and by the way, they're not buying it. Well, they're pretty close. Most grocery stores sell it for close to what the beer distributors sell it to the restaurants. You're looking at $4 of overhead and stuff you're paying every time you buy beer. And I know guys that'll go out and have 15 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying the light bill at that place.
Adds up real quick.
Real quick.
Real fast.
Real quick.
Yeah, and I see no off-ramps for anybody. I mean, it's pick a category and it's there. But I don't think the full weight of it has hit everybody yet to where they have felt the impact in every category of their life, because people are still kind of picking and choosing a little bit what they do, and they haven't felt the boot completely on their neck yet. But we're starting to see clients, sadly, that bought homes fiscally that they could afford well within their budgets, that are now being taxed right out of their homes, and they're calling us and saying we can't do this anymore, we got to sell our houses. And then they don't know where to go if they do sell, because they can't afford anything.
Cody Bauman said Bud Light's cheaper. Stay in the house you're in and decorate it at the Gray Barn. Reach out to Cheryl, 920-6803. Let Gray Barn Mercantile help you decorate your home. You should send people by. I know your staff, you've got some really, really quality realtors at Shaw Realty. If you'll send them by and say, hey, we call it accoutrement, a way to decorate and fulfill a property. Cheryl has got what you need to decorate.
We had her
your
on
life.
the show because I went and saw her new
Oh, she's
store,
awesome.
and it's awesome. We did a little shout out to you guys actually on the episode, but yeah, she came on and brought some of her pieces on there, and That is a very eclectic store. Is a good word for it.
But practically eclectic.
Yes,
it's not like
it's
stuff
cool.
you can't
like,
use.
Even as a dude, I walked in there. I was
Yeah.
like, "This is a cool store," and she had all sorts of things that I could have walked out of there
we
with.
know you're in touch with all facets
I'm
of your
trying
life.
to act cool though.
Folks-
I mean, it's radio, so let me
Ads
come
and
across
Offer,
here.
adsandoffer.com since 1926. Ads and Offer is Victoria's dealership. Reach out for a brand new Chevy. See the USA in a Chevy. Reach out to Ads and Offer for that. Or you can get a Mitsubishi, a Mazda, all types of pre-owned vehicles, gently pre-owned. They send the dogs off to the auction. They keep the best ones, and they have a full body shop. They do it all. They service all makes and models. Reach out to Ads and Offer for all your needs. They're the only people that touch my vehicles. The law office is Steve Kidder. Let Steve Kidder help you, whether you need help with a contract. He's done some contract work for me. He can do civil work for you. He can do criminal work for you. If you're a guy that somehow you're driving, the officer says get out of the car, a can falls out, it's not yours, you get blamed for DWI, give Stephen a call, let him help you. And if you did what they say you did, let Stephen help minimize your pain. Reach out to AJ's Detailing for all your auto detailing needs. AJ does a great job. AJ Villanueva. I know he's worked on your vehicles.
Hey, he's the only guy that work on my vehicles. AJ is the man. He's my friend.
And how do you get people to understand that you can take a light and he can shine it on that black paint and it looks like a spider web?
You can't.
And then when he's done, it's like looking into a pool of oil.
It's one of those things. AJ's detailing is one of those things you kind of have to experience to understand it, because he puts his heart into the job. He puts his soul into it. And there is a difference. That's why, I looked at my pathetic wash job, and then I looked at his, and he now does my vehicles. And
just pop a mushroom, bro, and watch AJ
and
go.
he cares. That's another thing.
it's his
a personal relationship to take care of my vehicles. And that's
art.
why I go there. Even if he wasn't so good at his job, I would probably still go. But it helps that he's both.
Absolutely. Torrin Bales points out national credit card debt is way up by inflation. I'm worried. Brian says, can he shine it on that black hair? There's nothing on my hair. I do not color my hair.
Looks good.
Can you imagine being so in my business, as in your business, I have flashes of cash where I'll write a big account and I'll get a fairly substantial check. And when that happens, I pay off my own personal floats. I pay down my credit cards. In the middle of it, when Dawn's like, I'm done, we got to go to Cabo. Then $2,500 goes on the credit card. And, oh, by the way, I, too, pay 23.9% interest on that money. So that $2,500 trip will cost me $2,850 by the time I pay it off. That's what it costs to have a 20-year younger wife. That's just the way it is, okay? That's what it costs.
There could be worse things.
It could be worse. But I look at it, and I wonder how people function who convince themselves I need that enough that I'm going to pay $50 a month for it forever. Long after the T-shirt no longer fits, long after it went from vintage to car wash rag, you're still paying 23.9% on that T-shirt. And I think that there are a large percentage of American families that live without hope. They live with, to the working men and women in this country, I would rather the federal government, honestly, pay their credit card debt than their college debt. Pay their credit card debt and cut it up. Quit allowing these banks, because I've got good credit. Used to, if you had good credit, you could get a credit card at, oh, hey, look, we're going to give you a card at 5% above prime. So it's 7% is the prime rate. Let's say you pay 12 and it fluctuates monthly. Fine. That's manageable. That's a decision you make. Is it worth an extra 5%? Should I save for it and pay cash? Should I borrow at the bank? But now the government has allowed these large banks, JP Morgan Chase, all of them, to just pillage your income at 25. The numbers are crazy. They made them like they did with cigarettes. Smoking kills you. They made them put a disclaimer on your bill. And if you get a credit card bill and you read it, it'll say, your balance $10,900. Your minimum payment $152. If you pay this card off at this rate, you'll have it paid off in 2078. I mean, that's literally what it tells you, because every month it's adding, and the cards do it on purpose. They've already long ago paid JCPenney for what you bought. Now they just hold a note on you, and it's like a line of credit, and they're just collecting that interest every month.
Well, and look at how you've been conditioned from, I'd probably argue as a child even, when now it's all about, well, I have to have good credit. I have to have this and that. Why do you not have to have instead, teach people to have that cash in the bank? And I'm not arguing that credit doesn't, having a line of credit or being able to take out loans, that is part of life, and I get that. But you talk to a lot of people and they're like, no, I will always have a car payment. I will always have a home payment.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue that you will never be truly ahead then, because
That's right.
you will always be a slave to debt. And
that's right.
And we should be, one of the things I try when I talk people into buying homes is, don't make that minimum payment for 30 years. You buy a $150,000 house, you end up paying $320, $330, $300. Who
Right.
knows now?
Pay an extra $100 every 2 weeks.
And people have become, we never did the credit card thing here the last couple of years. We have, but we pay them off every month for the points. Well, that was an eye-opener for us when we put every single expense on a card and then paid it at the beginning of the month. We're like, we spend a lot of money on garbage. And once we started, but it took focus, it took discipline, it took my wife getting on to me and like, hey, pay attention to what you're doing, knucklehead, know, and it's discipline. And we don't want discipline. We want instant gratification. If I want that new Xbox game, or I want this, or I want to go out and get it, and damn what comes after that,
Yeah, it's true.
And
And most of us, myself included, we're guilty of it. I do find that I used to have, I can go back to college, and I'd have $100 problem. Like, Dad, this event's coming up, and I need $100. I really needed $250, but I can find a way to get by. You knew that you could go to the well for what you needed. Then once kids came along, you started having $500 problems, whether it be a deductible or a whatever. But now I've skipped over $1,000 problems. If something comes up, I'm fortunate. I'm blessed that, for example, Dawn got a discount on an upgrade on a cell phone because we went on auto draft. Mm-hmm. Well, I am happy that my balance now, I come home and get that text from AT&T. Oh, by the way, $345 came out of your account today. Thanks for your business. And I don't have to grab the phone and do, how much money's in my account? Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that, and some of my banking is with Prosperity, and I use their debit card for groceries. And I don't know if I want to make you feel better if you bank with Prosperity. A glitch, a problem occasionally with your debit card is just the way it is. I've been at HEB at 60 where I put my debit card in, hit the PIN number, and the box said transaction declined. And I've had that moment of sheer fear and anxiety that goes back to the college days. I'm overdrawn. Mm-hmm. I've got no money. Now, it's illogical because I've got that overdraft protection, and I'm spending $50 at HEB on a gallon of milk, and of course there's $50 in there, but it is an anxiety and so I'm kind of going back to the psychological side of you feel trapped in your house, everything around you, your taxes and all your monthly expenses keep going up. The one thing I tell people, I'm not for a redistribution of wealth, but you have to understand that there's a certain nut that's got to be cut by everybody every month, and whether you're, for reference, whether you're T. Michael O'Connor or Brent and Caleb, you still got to pay $3 for a gallon of milk. It still costs you $2 to get or $5 to get your shirt starched. There's certain things that you and I look at as really expensive that Mr. O'Connor may look at as really expensive too, but as a percentage of his nut, it's nothing. Mm-hmm. So you have to realize that there's a certain And I think this is where the government's trying to go with a living wage. But they think that everybody should have the new iPhone 15, a Louis Vuitton bag, and take their Versace to the dry cleaners. And I don't on your nickel.
I could not agree more.
Right? I don't want anybody to be homeless. I'm a lot more charitable when I have money in my pocket.
Absolutely.
And the government doesn't want to call it charity because then that takes away those people's dignity. If you're hungry enough, you'll take it wherever you can get it. And if you're really hungry, you'll work for it.
Yep.
And that's where I'm at with this country.
You know, quick story, you talk about the overdraft thing. Whenever our check comes in, my wife, we have about 42 different accounts that she breaks all this money into, and we keep a bare minimum in the checking so we can make our money work for us in these other areas. And I'll go in and it's been a while, in her defense, a long while, but I'll go into the bank and I'm smoozing everybody and talking, and can you give me $600 back on this while I'm talking? I'm all loud in the bank and stuff, and the lady will wait and she'll lean over and she's like, "You don't have any money in your account." And I'm like, and I gotta text my wife, babe, and
which account?
We had it, and it's all swapped around, and that was always my pet peeve because we always had the money, but she doing what she was supposed to, putting it in other places. I would occasionally run in there and I get declined, and then they're just looking at me. I'm like, I swear I have money. I really do.
And the funny thing is, in Victoria, by the time you leave, dude, Caleb Shaw's going out of business.
Bounced 3 times. I already saw
Shaw Realty's closing up. I heard it today.
It's bad. Yeah.
We always say if you sneeze on one end of town, by the time you get to the other end, you've got COVID.
Yep, I've heard that as well, and it makes sense.
Sheriff Lauterbach checking in. Good morning, sir. Joe Cheney says, as a business owner, I can tell you well-off landowners are way tighter than broke landowners. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. And Joe does a lot of different types of services. He clears land. He's got equipment. And you go out like that, and that's how they got wealthy. Mm-hmm.
Our wealthiest clients are our biggest penny pinchers. Like they watch every cent of a transaction, every single cent of it.
It is funny, and it always comes back around to it says, Kelly Fromm says, the people below that Brent and Caleb are really struggling. I wonder what corners they're able to cut. I don't the Brent and Caleb line. But I look at what was I going to tell you? It probably didn't matter.
That was probably so earth-shattering.
No. The great example of that, of the fear of failure, is what motivates so many people. It's not the quest for success. You'll find the best athletes always say, I always wanted to win, but I didn't start winning until I developed a severe hatred for losing. The undeniable Hall of Fame coach Gino Auriemma, the women's basketball coach at UConn, who's won like 11 national championships and 13 trips to the championship. He's the John Wooden plus of women's athletics. They asked him, what motivates you, coach, at this point in your career? And he said, I just failing. And the reporter just laughed out loud, and he was offended. He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, look, there's only 2 kinds of coaches, those that have been fired and those that are going to get fired. And she goes, Coach, I mean, I realize that maybe that motivates you, but don't live in a vacuum. I mean, they're going to name the gym after you. And he said, hey, you're only as good as your last win. And that mentality, is what keeps him motivated. Same thing with a lot of wealthy folks. It doesn't mean that they're obnoxiously tight and they're not willing to pay for a good value. It just means that they're not just going to, what the heck? Hey, add something on for yourself there, sport.
They have winning habits.
They have winning habits.
I'll use Truman right now. I tried to teach him to swim, and he wasn't, he's only 3.5. He's not interested in me trying to teach him, educate him how to swim. He just wants to be in the pool and do his thing. Well, he started going underwater, and that's his new deal. He likes to do everything underwater, but he doesn't want to learn to swim yet, so he figured he can't get anywhere. He can go underwater, and then Dad has to push him everywhere. Well, over the last couple days of putting him in the water, it's been neat to watch him try to learn that freedom and that independence. Is, okay, now I can go underwater. It opens up this whole other world, but I don't know how to swim, and I can't get myself around, and I'm dependent upon Dad, and I want to be independent. So over the last couple of days, it's been, Dad, I want to kick now. I want to, and he's trying on his own to trying to gain that independence. And that's something I will always try to instill in him is, Yes, he will have a foundation. He will have a fallback. He will have these things. But I want him to have that independence that you find your way, young man. You depend upon nobody in this life but your hard work, your dedication, and your sense of perseverance. And with that, you know, those are what I don't want him to be dependent on the government. I don't want him to be dependent on me. I want him to find his own way.
You definitely want him to get off that Caleb tit at some point.
Very quickly, you know, because
you're 11 now, Billy. Go get a job.
Yeah, you know, and he's already, you know, the thing is he's already showed so many positive characteristics and all these things that we talk about that we see in society. I'm trying so hard to instill those lessons into him to where we don't have to repeat those mistakes.
Can he disassemble a SIG 9mm? That's the question.
He's getting really close. He may or may not have his own weapon systems already and all of that, and so we'll leave it there. But he's got a lot of guys in his family that when he was born, they felt the need to provide him with firearms right out the gate. Yes,
it's
sir.
funny how we promote that independence among our kids. We went over this past weekend to New Braunfels, and Dawn's sister Lacey and brother-in-law Blaine have children that go 5, 3, and like 9 months, and they're just covered up. I mean,
I can imagine.
And so we went over to their little neighborhood pool, and just last summer, Emery, the 5-year-old now, she didn't like water on her face. She wanted to get in the pool, but she wanted to be held the whole time. In 1 year, so now she's got her own goggles. She's independent, and she'd rather be out flopping around. And the adults were, you know, she's right there. We're watching her. She's close to the step. She could actually stand up where she's at. And we're watching her in that section of the pool constantly as we talked about her independence. And I found it interesting that now she not only is not afraid of the water in her face, she's got the goggles on, and she likes to float and look under the water. And we found ourselves going, she all right? Because she's just kind of floating. She's not flopping around. And every now and then we're like, hey. And she'd raise her head up. We're like, all right, hey, have fun. We didn't want to scare her. Have fun. Go back to it. Real quick, one last break, folks. Armor Air for all your air conditioning needs, 579-0966. Call the great folks at Armor Air. They will come out, clean your coil, recharge your system, make sure the dryer's working, all those things. They can help you beat this heat. White Trash Services, 550-1826. BJ, Scott, Carl. Reach out to that great family-owned local business. Let them help you with weekly trash service in the 7 contiguous counties and the Karnes City area. And they'll help you with roll-off dumpsters, demo services. They can grade land too. Give them a call. USA Concrete Coating, 578-HOME. Charlie Garcia can help you transform a drab slab. We used to say nothing that spruces up a house like fixing the kitchen and the bathroom. But you go into a older home, cracks all in the driveway, cracks in the garage. If you'll take a second and hire USA Concrete Coating, they'll come out, they'll clean it, seal it, fill the cracks, and then put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade, and you'll be thrilled with the outcome. It really, really makes your area pop. They do it on patios, pool decks. Some of that old cool deck looks so old, or the old pebbled concrete. They can put a new coat on that, totally change the appearance of your home. And then Wind Services for a full whole house 24 kW generator, under $6,000. They'll help you install it. It seems like a lot of money until the lights go out. Storm season's here. You've got elderly in your home. If you have children in your home, I think it's a responsibility factor to have a backup generator. Me and Dawn, it's just us. We just go camp in the yard. Mm-hmm. But some people, they need it. You need that constant source of electricity. Gas, diesel, gasoline, natural gas, propane, butane. Give the folks at Wind Services a call, and they will handle it for you.
Saw the Emmy signs. I noticed you won 3 on that raffle. Man, you did cleaned up on that thing.
I've still got a deer blind coming. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, I was in that raffle, and I was watching, and they just kept calling your name out, and I was like, come on, Brent, like, save some for the rest of us, man. I'd bought a bunch of tickets for that. I'm sitting there waiting, and they just kept calling your name out.
Right?
3 times, I think.
And I couldn't be there, and that was the worst part, was not being there, because it's such a great event.
They did do a good job on that, and it was done very well, and that was a great raffle too. Even though I lost, that was one of the best raffles I'd ever seen.
B Small says Carter can't go underwater; that black will wash out. And Don says, Brian, he really doesn't. He really doesn't dye his hair. And Brian's going to need some pictures of his pillowcase And and Stuart Martin says, Dawn, you tell him, Dawn. No, I mean, can you imagine that deal where you lay down and it's like, it's just like that gel?
Turn over. Yeah.
Did you ever see Coming to America?
I did, but it was I was younger, and
Worth
I don't
watching.
much recall it. I
Worth
need to go
watching
back
again.
and redo that one. I was probably at that age where my dad didn't know I was behind the couch watching him watch that, you know.
Great
So,
stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's worth finding again. So we've been visiting with Caleb Shaw. Caleb's a dear friend. The friendship actually started out over political differences. Found out we have so much more in common than we ever thought we didn't. I don't remember what Caleb was wrong about at the time, but it's all worked out.
Yeah, it was something
I would-
like that. Yeah,
I
something
would
like
say
that.
it's all worked out because he's always willing and faithful. I'll call and say, "Man, I need you," and I think you guys deserve an upgrade from Junior Samples. And Caleb is an
Junior's
awesome
big
guy.
shoes to fill, though, man. He
He's
does
an
a great
awesome
job.
guy.
Everybody you've had in here has always knocked it right over the back
They're
fence,
great
and they do a
folks.
great job. And I'm sure the audience appreciates the variety.
Absolutely, no, and we really appreciate the audience. You guys make it so much fun.
Congrats on your studio, man. It
Yeah.
looks really good in here. You guys are doing a great job.
Brian Small ain't nothing but a Jerry curl. That's right. That's right. She's your queen to be.
Yeah, that one got me.
All right. Hey, we're going to play you a little bit more Mo Bandy, and we're going to get out of here. Hope you guys have a great day. Know that we love you. See you manana. Bye, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around.